Welcome to the Dispute Resolution Center. We'd like to hear your mediation story.
I'm Angela Jamison. I have been a volunteer with the Dispute Resolution Center since around 2009. My day job is I'm an editor for a website, but I got some training at St. Edward's University when I was getting my master's degree, and sought out the Dispute Resolution Center after I graduated. And it's been a very positive experience for me.
Could you tell us what your best mediation experience that you've encountered?
My best mediation experience was a solo mediation I did between a mother and her daughter. The mother and daughter were having a dispute, and I can't remember the nature of the dispute, but the daughter was a massage therapist and initiated the mediation to try to work out some of their interpersonal conflict. When I came in to do the mediation that day, I thought I was going to have a co-mediator, but the case manager said they didn't have enough volunteers, and so I wound up doing the mediation by myself, and it was really gratifying. It basically forced me to really up my game because I didn't have another mediator to defer to, and the conflict, you could see underneath it, they really loved and valued each other and wanted to preserve the relationship, but as the nature of conflict is, that they just have these positions and they couldn't see their way past it. And what I love about mediation is that, people are locking horns, and through a series of questions, you could see the walls sort of crumble, and at some point, there's just magic. And so, I'd written a statement up on the board so they could do some collaboration on how to proceed forward. And my handwriting is so horrible that one word looked like I said something that I didn't intend, but it was a point where they were able to collaborate on how to best phrase the statement. And so even in that little moment, they were starting to come together. And, we all hugged at the end of it, and you could just see their whole body just sort of sigh with relief after the mediation.
What is your worst mediation experience that you've had?
My worst mediation experience was a landlord-tenant dispute, and it was worse. It was the worst experience because I could not maintain neutrality within myself. I had already decided in my mind who was right and who was wrong, and I wasn't an advocate for resolving that conflict in the way that I wish I had. I just let one of the disputants get under my skin and wasn't willing to go the extra mile to try to resolve the conflict. And so would you learn a lot from your mistakes? That's what I learned, that sometimes the truth is somewhere in between. Both, they're both telling the truth and they're both concealing things. And so after that mediation, I tried to maintain some openness about what the truth was, and to not cast in my mind a good guy and a bad guy. And so I learned a lot from that.
Angela, what type of ethical situations have you experienced during mediation?
I haven't experienced any ethical situations as a mediator, but when I was doing case management during processing with one of our mediators during a civil litigation mediation, he expressed a dilemma of whether to be directive or non-directive in the mediation, and we were able to resolve how that played out in his mediation and the success of the parties reaching a settlement.
What do you feel are the benefits of co-mediation?
The benefits of co-mediation include being able to play on the different strengths of each mediator. I've been in mediations where I've been with an attorney, and they're really good about sort of giving that big overview of how the mediation has gone so far. And because I have a journalism background, my strength is asking questions that try to draw out people's, try to get them to see a different perspective. And also, it's nice to have someone to confer with when we have our own little, sometimes we'll call a break, and then we can, it's nice to have someone to bounce ideas off of. So what's our best strategy when we reconvene? And it's nice just to feel like you're part of a team. And also I think it might help the parties be able to identify with one or both mediators, so they feel like someone's on their side. It's not just one person that they're having to compete with the other party.
Would you describe what the benefits are of being a solo mediator are?
What I like about being a solo mediator is that, for me, I usually like to hang back and observe. And when I'm a solo mediator, I'm having to do that, plus sort of push my game up. And so I'm having to listen for what's being said, listen to what's not being said, and then have to think on my feet. And that's part of the reason why I pursued mediation, was that I'm always someone who thinks a lot, and I like to deliberate before I act. And what I like when I'm a solo mediator, I'm having to really think on my feet and ask questions as they come up to my head, to my mind. And it's really helped me with my instincts. So to follow my instincts when I feel like I can read someone's body language, or if there's a question that needs to be asked, I'm more attuned to doing that when I'm a solo mediator. Piece of advice I would give to up-and-coming mediators is to be comfortable with the ambiguity of how the pieces of information come in. Judy Corder, one of the facilitators for a lot of the workshops at the Dispute Resolution Center, offers some really good advice about, she said, you will get the full story, you just have to just sort of allow it to be revealed. And for me, I like to know A, B, C, D. I like to have a very linear way of getting information. And in mediations, it doesn't come out that way, because there's so much emotion charged in the information that's coming out. So I would advise people to be comfortable with, okay, ride the wave, and you will get the full picture. It just won't come in a to B way.
Angela, we'd like to thank you for taking time out of your busy day to come up here and answer a few questions for us in regards to your experiences at the Dispute Resolution Center. Thank you.
My pleasure.